Hi, I'm Alex Petizian, and this is IFAI Talking Textiles, where we talk to successful companies about their experiences in the fabric industry. The podcast is brought to you by IFAI, a not-for-profit association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. IFAI hosts several exciting events throughout the year, including its upcoming 100-year anniversary of IFAI Expo happening November 1st to the 4th, 2021 in Nashville, Tennessee. IFAI Expo 2021 is the textiles and specialty fabric industry's flagship show for sourcing, networking, and education. Register today at ifaixpo.com, and to learn more about IFAI's other upcoming events, visit ifai.com/events. On today's episode, we'll be speaking with John Conroy and his sons, who run an awning company in Ottawa, Canada, known as House of Canvas. We'll learn about John's path into the fabric industry, his achievement in the business, and how he is transitioning his company over to his sons. And now, let's talk textiles. Welcome, everyone, to the IFAI Talking Textiles podcast. I'm Alex Petizian, and I'm joined by co-host Mark Tyrrell. Mark, thanks for hosting with me.
Thanks for having me, Alex. I love doing this with you. We had a good time on the first one, and I hope the second one will go equally as smoothly. And I know we got a great subject and some great people on with us today.
Yeah, I'm excited for the interview. So the purpose of the podcast is to provide an opportunity to highlight the Canadian textile industry, and is a way for us to offer Canadian-centric content to members of the IFAI Canada division. First, I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there. You know, it's a great way to learn about our industry, learn about different types of businesses, small businesses, medium-sized, and some bigger in the textile industry. So thank you for listening, and we hope you continue. I'll start by providing some background for any listeners not familiar with the IFAI or the Canada division. Industrial Fabrics Association International is a nonprofit association representing the specialty fabric industry. The Canada division represents members in the Canadian textile market that supply fabrics, thread, equipment, fabric products, awnings, tents, fabric structures, and more. Mark and I are suppliers in the industry, and our guests today are manufacturers of awnings, canopies, and much more. Today, we are interviewing John Conroy and his three sons, Liam, Pierce, and Declan, of the House of Canvas in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. John got his start in the canvas industry while in high school, working for a sail loft, and later he decided to purchase the House of Canvas. His sons came to work for him years later and currently are transitioning into taking over the family business. Welcome, Conroy family, to the IFAI Talking Textiles podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Alex gave a little bit of the backstory there, John, but I think everybody really loves a good origin story. So before we get into the dynamics of House of Canvas as it is today, we'd love to hear your backstory, especially, given that you got into the industry so early, so young, and, the experience that you had, and then leading all the way up to the purchase of House of Canvas and where you went from there. We'd love to go as far back as you like, as you think is relevant to what brought you to ownership and operation of House of Canvas.
Well, when I was a baby, I was fascinated by diapers. No, just kidding. No, when I was in high school, we moved from Toronto to Ottawa at that time, and my dad had a sailboat, and he got his sails at the sail loft in Toronto. And the guy said to me one day, "If you want ever want a job, John, come and see us over the summer." So when I turned 15, I called him and said, "Can I get a job for the summer?" And that's how it started. So that's my start in the needle trade or rag trade, sales to a degree, and then of course all the custom canvas work that goes with boats. I got fired one day and came back to Ottawa and saw a job at an awning company, which was our competitor that's here in Ottawa. They just closed, and realized this is pretty fun. And there's a lot more houses and businesses in need of canvas than there are boats. So the business potential was the model was much bigger. Went back to Toronto to the same guy that fired me, because they called me back, and met my wife. Bing bang bong. Decided to open my own company and search for firms that were maybe up for sale or thinking of selling. My father-in-law, being an accountant, I had him anonymously call the awning companies in Ottawa first and see if anyone wants to sell. Two of them kind of did. This was one that we looked at. The father had passed away, so they were kind of in need of a partner. Partnerships are kind of like marriage, so you don't get involved in that too quickly. So I said, let me just be maybe your GM for a couple of years and see if we get along. Within those 2 years, they decided to quit. So I kind of fell into my lap. So it was kind of a big bonus. Like a lot of family businesses, which is kind of what we are now, what I saw then was they really thought their dad did nothing. But there was an obvious dent when the father left. I asked, over the 2 years they were with me here, what did your dad do? And it was, well, not much really. And well, they have to have done something because the sales have dropped 50%, and there's no energy in here, and there's no direction. And being a general manager, I couldn't give direction because these guys are the owners. Again, it's very difficult to direct an owner from a general manager point of view. Anyway, so they left, which is a godsend, and I took it over and worked my buns off for many years, to the point that we're at now. My son was born. Declan was born the first year I started here, and my daughter was born, I think, the first year I bought the company. So it's they've always been, the kids have always been kind of in the business from an outside point of view. I love what I do. I love this business. It's fun. It's prosperous, but it's hard. Like any business owner will tell you, it's like 24/7. It never really leaves your head, and if it did, it isn't meant for you. So when the kids were at the age of looking to go to further school after high school, I always wanted them to go further because it must be easier than this. They're always welcome to be in the business, but it's hard. So it looks simple, but it's not simple. It's hard on you. It's hard on your family, and it's hard on everything, relationships and everything. So it's my daughter listened. She's in the university, so she listened to me. My sons went to college instead, kind of tailored their courses towards this business, and they decided after college to jump on in. And that's where we are. That's where we are today. They've been kind of full time, I guess. I don't know, like 5 years, 6 years, as far as educated full time. They worked there when they were 12. As far as right. being part of the gang, I'd say about 6 years. So there's a lot of growth in a young person in those 6 years from 20 to 27, maturity wise. That's the biggest change that I needed to see. And then, of course, the education that they brought into the company, the direction they brought into the company, and the aggression. I've been running it since '96. I've been here since '94. I've been doing it since '79. So it's I have my feet wet. But I got to a point where I'm quite happy where I am. I'm happy with my life, my lifestyle, the volume of stress I got to deal with. Stress is a privilege of business. And that's, if you don't have it, you're in Sir Coffee. That's where we are today.
There were some great nuggets in there, John. I actually got to say that last one I like in particular. Stress is a privilege of business ownership, and I think I'm sure Alex is writing it down right now. He loves this stuff.
I love those one-liners. I mean, Brian had one the last show, work on the business, not in the business, and that was, so early on in the podcast too. It's awesome.
Yeah. So it makes sense to anyone in business. It doesn't make sense. People say, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself through that? Well, I feed off. And that's part of I've always been stressful. I've always been working for somebody else. I was stressed out. Why not put that energy into yourself or into your family? So it's a good nugget, but it's a very truthful one. And I think it makes very much sense as to anyone who could be watching this listening to the podcast.
And actually, when you said you initially got into the business and the transition from, say, the sales into the awning side and House of Canvas, and you looked at that and you said, this looks like a lot of fun and interesting, but you also mentioned that it had more potential. So would you say that your interest in House of Canvas, or even in this business, or the passion that you have for it, do you think it's more like the business itself, the industry, fabrics, working with fabrics, or would you say you lean more towards the entrepreneurial side of actually like running a business and, and that side of it, or is it really just a mix of both?
Oh, it's a mix of everything. I mean, it's a mix of dealing with people, from business people to homeowners, to just campers that come in with a question for something. It's that kind of dealing with people that I love. Design is probably my favorite thing I like doing, is coming up with a design for, well, that's all we do. I mean, like, everything we do is different. Right? There's never a day that's the same. We don't mass produce a lot of stuff. So they're always one of projects, and they're from huge to small. Obviously, the huge ones are the ones that keep you up at night and give me hair and gray hair, and those are the ones that are a breeze. And but you need them all. Like, you can't just look for big ones. If you don't have small ones, you don't have the whole package. So no, I think it's a bit of everything. I mean, the sail business was fun because it was a sexy market. It's working on yachts, which is kind of fun. Which is why I took that after high school. That was my education. Was Dad, university or get a job, and I went back to them full time. But looking at the model of awnings versus marine, the model is much larger. There's a lot more potential. There's a lot more work out there that you can get. But I never looked at it for just being the entrepreneurial part of it. I enjoy it. So I enjoy what I do. I enjoy getting up in the morning. Some mornings I don't, but I enjoy coming in here. I enjoy what I do at my desk. I enjoy seeing all that stuff on the wall. And it's not me. I mean, you might say it's a company, but I've never considered the company me. Without the engine of my staff, I'd be nothing. That's a hard thing to explain to anyone coming in. Even my sons, to a degree, disagree with me with some people, but I didn't get here by myself. And that's, I got here with the hard work and work of everybody. I was a coach, and they were the players. So that's how I see the business running. It's definitely not a one-person show. Some awning companies are, but we're a decent size, and there's no way I could do it alone, or would want to do it alone. So it's people that I have, and people that you train and put money into and develop, that make you who you are.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned, John, that you had an experience with, as a GM, and the previous owner passing away and the kids taking over. What did you learn about that experience, and what do you, talking to your kids about, your sons and maybe your daughter about, and on that transition? Like, what did you learn from that, and what are you doing today to do better?
Well, it's a big thing to step into a package like a company like this, and it's as a family member, it's kind of given to you. So you take a lot for granted, and I know my kids are great, but I know they take a lot for granted because it's unavoidable. That's what they did. So they mean, when I say sales dropped 50%, they did. When I came in here for my interview, the phone rang a lot. This was Christmas time. The phone was ringing a lot. And they weren't answering it because they're talking to me. I'd answer the phone.
Right.
Quite honest. A lot of things they did, it'll just come. Business will come. That wasn't their directing the ship. They had no coach. It's like having a bunch of players go on the football field and say, okay. And there's no referees or coaches. You have to have something stable, and you have to work. Coming into a company, taking it over, kicking me out, doesn't mean that, feet on the desk, I can have the afternoon off today, I'm going to go play golf. No, you have to work. And until the company is fully functional and really working and really succeeding, then you can probably take off some time.
Right.
So I'm a bit of an old school worker as far as those things go.
Yeah. So I guess keeping that structure in place is something that your sons are going to be taking over or continuing as the transition happens.
That's what you look for. Like, that's what I've been looking for since they came in, was seeing where they would fall into place. And they've all fallen into very good spots. They're not on each other's backs. They're quite independent in the work environments that they're in. They connect everywhere, but they're not directly.
Right.
But when you step back and watch, and you're not giving any guidance, and it's working, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Nice.
When they were 20, no, it was, this was a great job, great income, they got a nice car, but there wasn't the same drive as there is now. What I've seen in the last few years is now there's a drive, and it's not just from me.
Okay.
There's a drive from within all three of them. We are going in different directions. We are taking on different markets. Our sales are showing it, and that's not from me. That's a very good thing. Yeah, it takes more than sales to have a business. I mean, we're not selling widgets. We're actually making something. So you got to have the guy who can sell it, and then you have to have the guy that can make it. And then you have to have the guy that can design it, the guy that can put up on a wall. So there's a lot of different aspects that you have to have. I don't think there's too many left for them to acquire.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us each about your roles and how you guys are contributing to House of Canvas today versus 20 when you were 20?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? It's funny. I had the same question along those lines. Maybe we can start with Declan. I'd love to hear what it was like for you guys as you came in, and you know what I mean. And did you all kind of find your places quickly and find that separation, or was there a little bit of a, you know what I mean? Like, did it take some time? Was there a little bit of back and forth there before you kind of fit into your roles?
I'll just nudge in there for 1 second, just to let the guys know that don't hold back any punches, because I got broad shoulders. So I'm like the whole idea, I think, on a podcast like this is to really explain to others what it's like. And and I know who I am, so don't have to be kind.
and guys, and I'll also mention, I mean, my father owns Naizil, so I think we've also been in some of the same spots. So it's a great, the more you share, the more you're willing to share, the better for the audience, because I think there's other people that would love listening to this as well.
Yeah, well, when I first came here, I was probably 8 or 10, and we would come in and vacuum the showroom and sweep the floors on a Saturday for $10 or something. Or we'd come in occasionally during our summer holidays from school and paint stuff, with a brush, big frames, just with the brush and a little roller. So that was the start of that. And I'm sure that was some awesome cheap labor. But as we grew up, and we worked here, let's say full time during the summer, or after school. Let's say when I was 20, when I was young, I'm sure that my dad was ready to fire me at some points, because I know that I know how much I've grown since then. Probably was not easy to just watch your kid come into your company and not be the one, not be the guy that you wanted him to be. So I'm glad that I've realized, and my dad has also seen some growth from then. But what I'm doing now is I'm still working outside. Occasionally working. I work inside in the winter. Outside, I just kind of manage what goes on out there every day. Just supervise installations as well. And in the winter time, or just the odd day here and there, I'll be inside aiding with design, or just helping the shop. Other things that, I know that we all do together, like basic R&D, I would almost categorize it as. We have our weekly meetings, and in that we go over just basic stuff, how we're doing as a company in general, and then we also usually talk about how we can grow. And I know my dad had mentioned that he had gotten comfortable with where he's at, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're going from 1 owner to 3 owners, so I don't know how comfortable I'll be. And I think the sky's the limit with owning your own business.
Which I think is such an interesting dynamic, by the way, Declan. And that's where one of the things that I think we love about this particular podcast is that there are 3 of you coming in. It's a succession in a family business is tough enough with 1 or 2 people. But when you got 3, you know what I mean? Like, and it looks like strong driving individuals coming into a business. I mean, that's amazing for the business, but it can be tough for everybody to find their place and also to agree on the direction of the company.
Agreeing with the direction of the company is definitely something that we don't struggle with, but it's like we all can always find a middle ground, but like anything, you're never going to please everybody, right? Someone's got something to say about this, or somebody's got something to say about that, and that's completely normal. I never came into this expecting, me, Liam, Pierce, and my dad, we're going to agree on everything, and it's going to be smooth sailing. Like it's just never like that. There's people butt heads, but there's very rarely, just like a screaming match. Like we're not, like I said, 20. Like that would be normal back in the day, and nowadays we can find a middle ground and agree with each other. And even if we can't, we can just at least say we agree to disagree instead of getting red in the face. So I think all three of us kids have have matured to the point where we can at least talk like adults to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, having more than one person coming in at a time, it's definitely hard. But as my dad mentioned, having us in different sects of the company is very important, because I'm not stepping on Pierce's toes, Liam's not stepping on my toes, but as a unit, that's what makes the wheels turn, right? Like we still work together. Like I wouldn't know what's going on in the back if Pierce wasn't there, and I wouldn't know what's ready to go for tomorrow if Liam wasn't there. So even though we are in a sense separated, it's very important that we're cohesive and together. So I think that we've all found a good spot in the company where it limits the headbutting and the clashing.
All right. And I want to ask Liam and Pierce about their roles, but quickly, Declan, you said you're on the outside. So are you customer facing on the front end, like for sales, as well as working on the, on the actual service side and installations, or is it mainly the service and installations?
Right now it's service and installations. It is so hard to train somebody. Like when you're an owner, your eyes are like, it's perfection or nothing, right? And it's very, very hard to let somebody out on their own and know that they're going to do the exact same job that you would do. And to be completely honest, I don't expect that. I know that my eye for perfection and just general OCD is through the roof. And I don't expect people to care as much as I do, because their livelihood does not really depend on the success of this company. So I've been learning slowly how to just let go. But right now I am mainly service and installs, training my successor, per se. Yeah.
I can say that honestly, I think delegation is the biggest challenge for any business owner or manager. It is the toughest thing.
Yeah.
So in terms of order of entering the business, was it Pierce or Liam that came next, or did you guys all jump in?
Probably Pierce came next.
Pierce, you want to tell us a little bit about your role?
Yeah. So my way into the company was similar as Declan. So, 10 years old, we show up for a $10 paycheck for the day. And come after the end of the day, you got to get a big chocolate bar.
By the way, when I worked for my dad, it was hot dogs for lunch, man. That's all I got. So it wasn't,
Well, that was also the benefit too. He fed us for lunch too, which was nice.
Right.
So that was my way into the business. And then every day in high school, so from grade 9 to 12, in like the busy seasons, I would show up and at the end of, well, not 9 to 12 actually, grade 11 to 12, when I actually had a car to get to work after school. So I'd be able to come in for 2 hours, get stuff ready for the next day. And then in the summers, I would always be working here, painting frames, learning how to lace awnings. So I was learning all the nitty gritty parts of the shop, which was kind of I'm happy I learned that back then. So I know exactly what to do and how to fix things when issues do arise in the shop. And then I went to college for 2 years. And then during my weeks in college, I'd have time off in between classes or a day off. And I would always come to work during those times. And I'd come and, get stuff ready, prepare things, further understand the shop. And that's something I'm happy with, is how much I kind of know the shop left, right, and center. Then after I graduated from college, I started learning how to cut. all the fabrics. And then as I learned all that, that was a pretty big transition. And my dad probably hated me for the amount of questions I came to him with, because it was pretty constant. What do I do for this? What do I do for that? Because I didn't really trust myself, because I don't want to waste fabric. So I'd always come to him for questions constantly. He did that his whole life, was cutting, and he knew everything for how running production and running it properly. So he would always give me pointers. Some of the pointers I would be like, no. And then like later I'd be like, okay, I should have done that. So learning from him was definitely my biggest thing, and something I kind of was very happy with. I don't ask him as many questions now as I did before, because, you know, I've learned, and if I'm still asking them questions, nothing's really working in my head. So I'm much more independent now, with running production and getting everything finished for Liam, so he knows what's coming down the pipeline. And then my everyday in the shop is pretty much just making sure everything's going smoothly, and things are still working. Things are like, everyone's kind of has their job to do in the shop. I think that's about it.
So you're pretty much, you're helping run the production side, basically, is what it comes down to, right? In the shop. And are you kind of like the production king? Because I know, you know, having some experience with that, with production, and like a lot of times the cutter is really more than a cutter, and also kind of the project manager, and you're kind of setting it up for the whole team in terms of the assembly and that. Is that about right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm the first step of the assembly line, right? So then I get to kind of like delegate everything after for cutting. And I can kind of help out when either issues arise or questions. And for me, it's always like, whenever I hand off my fabric to the seamstresses, I say my biggest thing is, don't be afraid of asking questions, because that's how I learned from my dad. Ask questions, and I always have them ask. Like, I have to make sure they're never afraid of asking questions. So ask me more questions if you want. Like, it's not going to bug me. I'd rather know it's getting done properly than someone guessing, and then, you know, you got to order more fabric because you guess a hem size or a pocket size or something. Or
Yeah.
So I always have them ask as many questions as you can, and not being afraid of asking that, because I want to know 100% that you understand everything you're doing. That's probably one of the hardest parts, just making sure they're confident in what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I don't want to speak for John, but my guess is that he would have been far more worried if you weren't asking him those questions at the beginning, if you didn't have that level of interest in kind of picking his brain and getting that knowledge passed on.
Yeah. One of the things in the company too that the guys have always been told is that you never know it all. You never know it all. Like,
right.
Every day is a different project. There's always differences in everything you do. There's some normal things, but you never know it all. So you're always, I ask. I'll ask the girls, what do you think of this? You know, so it's a team. I'm not the guy that I might know it all. I don't know it all. I'm a good educated guesser.
But I think that's so key, though. I think when you foster that, and when you show that the ability, like from top down, that you don't know it all, and it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to consult with other people, then it kind of creates that environment where everybody feels that ability, because we all run into walls here and there, or we all run into problems or something that we can't solve. And it might even be a simple solution. It might be a complicated solution, but sometimes when you're in it, you're just not seeing it. And you need, you know what I mean? And you need that outside help, and you need somebody to kind of come at it from another angle, or see it from a different perspective.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think it's super important to just always be also like a lifelong learner, you know, and by having that, as like you say, the top down, the employees it helps them come together, and they're learning just as much as, or they see that you're learning, so they should be learning as well, you know, and maybe they will be a little bit more attentive to detail, you know, in your case, Declan, you know, if you have a successor, you know, maybe allowing him to ask those questions or being open to learning will help him do his job better down the road. So that's pretty cool. I want to ask you, Pierce, did you always want to be part of the business? Like, it seems like, you know, you were going after high school, or, you know, driving to work just to get 2 hours in, always there in the summer times, as all three of you were. But did you always want to be in on the production side?
Well, I always found it like more of like interesting, like seeing what my dad always did, like making all these things. But like I never always wanted to be part of the business. My actual biggest thing was like I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, nice.
But like now seeing like as I got more into it through college, that's when I really started to, start to want to actually do it. During those times is always like you're coming out of college, you're not that mature, really. So there's times where it's like, maybe I could do something else, blah, blah, blah. But like in the past like 2 years or so, year and a half, that's when the drive like really started kind of picking up and kind of maturing started happening. Maybe it was a blessing from like COVID of you can't go out anymore. So I've always liked it. I've always enjoyed it. But like in the past like 2 years, year and a half, it's really kind of like picked up on actually like seeing more than just one view of the company. Because like I had to see you look what your dad has and you go, oh, okay, cool. But like then actually like doing the work and enjoying it is more rewarding. You drive downtown Ottawa, you go, wow, well, look at that. Look what we did there. Look what we did there. Look what we did there. And I remember my wife, she always, complains to me or she laughs at me for going, oh, look at that on him. And then she'll like mimic me when we're driving down. She'll go, oh, look at that. Look at that. So it's always like rewarding seeing all those jobs.
Yeah. But by the way, we all do that. Even, you guys, it's great. You're looking at your own jobs or whatever, but I'm always checking out everybody's jobs in the industry. Like, and I'm like a weird canvas and awning nerd, you know what I mean? Going looking for the tag, who did this? Like what job was that? And that's kind of funny, but actually, your dad had mentioned earlier that you guys kind of tailored your educations towards the business. I'm curious, what did you study in college? Like, or were you going in the education direction at that point?
No, so in college I took a 2-year business degree, and it was called business and entrepreneurship. So it really just showed you how to run a small to medium sized business. So it gave me all the like accounting, marketing, all that information. But I like the nitty gritty on like studying clientele and stuff, and like on how to like cater to them, the to dos, not to dos, mistakes to avoid, staff relations as well. So like it was kind of nice like learning like kind of all like the details on like what people want to see and what to avoid. So that's kind of like what I had a fun, like it was really fun learning all that stuff, and I did a lot of work because we had a course for a business plan. So I did the business plan for us Canvas, but it was kind of nice that the teacher, because like it's easy to do a business plan on an existing business, but what the teacher wanted me to do was do the business plan on what the business can be instead of what it is right now.
Pretty good.
So you have to like incorporate other aspects that you can bring into it. That was fun doing that.
So John, not just free manual labor, you actually got free consulting by them doing the House of Canvas projects during their education.
Children are never free.
Yeah.
At that point.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're probably helping pay for the education in the first place, so technically you're paying the bill on that.
Yeah. They're off the household payroll and then back on your own personal business payroll.
Yeah. It's a better tax situation that way, I think. So Liam, how about telling us a little bit about your role in the business?
Well, my journey to the business was different than Pierce and Declan. I went to school for hospitality management. So restaurants, hotels. I got that idea because when I was young, my dad had so many clients as restaurant clients. I see the lives they're living, the cars they're driving. Looks great.
Food they were eating.
Yeah, the best. Now get a job at a bar, just brand new bar, first opened. So I saw the start of a restaurant. I was there for 3 years. And after that, I was like, not a chance. Is this something I could do the rest of my life? It's just tough job in terms of late hours, not a normal family life. And that was really what got me out of that. And I was working there. Any restaurant job's not really a full-time job, like 8 to 5. So jumped over, worked part-time with my dad while I was doing that. And then kind of process of elimination, I enjoyed House of Canvas a little bit more than the restaurant. Might not be as fun and exciting as working in a bar, but I learned a lot of skills in the bar during here to do the I was mostly office admin, sales, and really managing what's going out the door. In the front office, I have been improving the workflow how we can collaborate more electronically than having to get up, go talk to someone every time you have a question, even down to just a better phone system that you can pick up a call. If I'm out of the office, I can pick it up on my cell. Just improving that technological side of the business to keep up with the times. There's so much, it's not like we're so far behind that we're not going to be able to keep up. It's just the big change we had this year. It wasn't just me on this, but it was really all four of us. We've redone our website, got that stuff going. Starting hopefully next year, we'll have our online store. And that's just huge growth for the company because you're opening yourself up to a whole new market. So I would say I'm less physical labor in the business, or Declan's doing installing, Pierce is doing the production and managing the staff in the back. I'm more focused on the sales and improving how we're doing things in the office. I'd say that's where I'm at right now.
I think that's really interesting, Liam, because I deal with the same thing, being a little bit more advanced on the tech side. There's always a cost to that, right? And we're always trying to, I guess, justify the cost benefit in doing something different and getting everybody on board, right? So I find that difficult, even at Naizil sometimes. You want to, it could be anything from improving the software, the production flow, all that stuff. It's just, what's the cost benefit? Simple website. I was actually looking at your website yesterday, just doing some homework, and I thought, wow, what a great website. I thought it was nice and bright, nice pictures. The website is customer facing today, right? Like people know you through your website. They know the website first before they know Liam, Pierce, Declan, or John. So moving forward, I think that's a great plan. And how have you found that, John? Like, is that a difficult thing for you, or how's the transition to all this new tech?
I think anyone my age is somewhat cautious of change. So not adverse to change, but just cautious of change. The old story. Well, that's the way we've always done it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been thrown in my face so many times by the boys, because I said, you say it again, that you don't say that, because yes, it's always worked, but this could work better. So you have to add that. You have to add that at the end of your statement. I am slow to change, because I still have the attitude. Well, I'm happy with where I am.
Right.
So the changes they brought in, the website for sure, that was a long time coming, and it was a good idea. I mean, because I'm somewhat fiscal. I don't like spending money, so the money part of it was a negative. But you got to do what you got to do. The phone system was the other one Liam didn't mention, but I'm sure he would have. New phone system. Well, the other one worked.
Yeah.
This is more outreaching. It does a lot more than the old one did. We can answer the phone from the cottage. No one knows we're there, but we could. Everything they brought in so far, I was reluctant, but accept them. Let it flow.
Yeah. Work-life balance too. Like you say, you can answer the phone at the cottage. You can be with your wife, sipping a glass of wine, and a client calls. You can take it, or it goes to your son's cell phone. You know what I mean? Especially with COVID, I think a lot of companies are seeing that, a lot can get done from home, or, differently. So I think it's a positive change. And I think we often get caught in that, we got to work, we got to be 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, but making your time or being efficient with your time is more valuable, and you can have more family time today. Absolutely. I mean, you had said it in your intro that you were a workaholic, like you worked hard, when the kids were young. Imagine having all these technological advances when you were just starting out. And when I came here, they didn't have computers. I did. Okay.
So they didn't have a computer, even like for bookkeeping. Using a ledger, and you're kind of shaking your head, going, So I saw it too. So I mean, that's a change that I brought here. So I'm not so old that I can't type with both hands, but I love technology. But when you have 3 young people bringing all this technology to your face, you get overwhelmed.
Right.
So you got to, slow it down. You got to spoon feed me. I'm not in a race, and that's more the case, really. I like it all, but everything in due time.
Right.
And that's what's happening now with the guys a bit older. They're bringing in different things, and they're bringing in different technologies, different ideas, and I'm more accepting because they're spoon feeding me. Not
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, and like the boys mentioned before, nobody's turning red in the face anymore. You guys have kind of learned to work with each other, which is great too.
You have to have that. You have to have that, because if it continued like they were when they were 20, this never would have worked. This never would have worked. Believe me, it's much easier for me to sell this to somebody else.
Yeah.
Wipe your hands and it's all done. I know, having this in my family, I'm never going to be gone. That's reality that you have to have. So even though they've gotten rid of me, it doesn't mean like you can't let go of it completely. Maybe I can. Pretty sure the guys know I can't. But I have set up a pretty good office in my cottage, so I can reach back here whenever I want and still do drawings and stuff. But I like I said, I love what I do. So I love what I do. So
I would imagine there's some comfort in that too, like that you're always there to, to kind of refer back to or to consult with, like for the boys, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you want that freedom, you want that independence, but it's nice to, like, for lack of a better term, and this might be a bit, overshooting, but to have that safety net, or at the very least to have, that voice of reason, voice of wisdom kind of in the background that says, yeah, you're good, you're going in the right direction, or, you know what I mean? Like, to kind of help confirm that. And on the technological side, I understand where you're coming from in terms of trying to find that balance, like between it's not broke, so we don't need to fix it, but sometimes you don't even realize how good it can be or how much better it can be until you put those things in place. And I think having somebody like Liam within your organization that's pretty amazing, because most people have to reach out and go get consultation and go get consultants and stuff or whatever to look at those things or whatever. And that he's almost kind of taking that outside perspective and looking at the business from a different perspective and a different side, because too often we can't see it when we're in it. We're just thinking, well, this is the way we've always done it. It works. It's fine. But you don't realize how much better it can be.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the industry needs too, is that second wave now of let's take the next step, and I think starting with this podcast and listening to your stories, like this is great stuff, and it's going to encourage other people to learn and get better as well. So I appreciate you guys sharing.
You really can't sit on your hands. I think in any business, you can't sit on your hands. You can for a short bit, like I'm getting comfortable, but you always have to be ready to jump and be ready to change. We did a job 3 years ago that was over our head, but let's try it, and we did it, and we friggin' nightmare, but we got through it, but it taught us a ton.
Yeah.
And it brought new technology into our shop to enable us to do it. You always have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And the more and more you do that aggressively as an awning manufacturer or an awning like our kind of firm, the more and more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting any better, well, like I said before, serve coffee. Because if you have to keep learning, you have to keep trying. It's not a business that you can go to school for. There's no awning school company that you can go and learn this stuff. There's no one teaching you how to finish shade sails. There's no one teaching you how to manufacture a frame for an awning or a structure. It's all learned by trial and error. It's all learned by looking at other things. It's learned by getting on the internet, reading a book, or trying to figure things out for yourself. But you're always learning. So it's not something that you can ever sit back on. You have to encourage your staff. You have to encourage yourself to step out of your comfort zone.
Was there anything that you learned at the IFAI trade shows that really helped you out, John? And then I want to get to how you guys won the Apple Watches the last time.
we have a theory on that, by the way. We know how we did it. But at the IFAI shows, I think what I get most from those shows is really machinery. What's available out there to aid you in manufacturing products. I've sat through a few demos and stuff, but I haven't learned anything new from those demos.
Okay.
I even went to a shade sail demo to learn, because we were getting into it at that point. but I didn't learn anything. I learned how to hook it up. Well, I know how to hook it up. How do you make it? How do you get? So it's just so you see a guy there that sells software. Huh. Okay, well that's cool. So you have to buy the software, and that changed us night and day. Those kind of things. It's really the material type of stuff that I go to those shows for.
Okay.
Be it sewing machines, be it welders, heat sealers, software companies, and of course fabrics and hardware. All those things that all those components of what we do.
Okay.
Not the education.
And so, who's going to tell us the story about the Apple Watches here, guys? Because I mean, thinking about putting my name in, I didn't, and then you guys come out with Apple Watches.
Gotta up your business card game. You need to get that embossed business card.
I'm gonna guys in Nashville.
Actually, interestingly enough, a bit of a story, and like Alex, I also was impressed with your current website. I had a look at it in researching for the podcast. But one of the earliest IFAI Canada shows that I attended was, or actually attended in a leadership role within my own company. So kind of eyes open, was actually in Gatineau. And John, you took us on a tour of some jobs and some work that House of Canvas had done at the time. And so that was really one of my first exposure to, and to be honest with you, I was impressed back then. I mean, you talked about the level of engineering that's required, especially being so close to the federal government. You know what I mean? Like, and you showed us some really, really interesting and fairly complex projects, especially, it looked complex to me at the time, and the emphasis on quality and on precision, getting it right, and also making sure that the jobs were going to hold up and that they were going to really stand the test of time and take, and look after your customers to the degree that they needed to be done. But even since that time, like, your logo has changed in recent times, your whole, it really looks like the company has gone through a metamorphosis. I mean, it was always solid, really professional. I loved, like, a lot of your customer facing, everything from your email signatures to your online presence. I liked it before, but I love that even though it was solid and great the way it was, you guys are continuing to evolve. The logo has changed. It's more updated. It's gotten, the shade sales involved. You guys have really kind of evolved the business and kept on going with it out of tradition. And you spoke of, projects that'll have you pulling your hair out, but you learn so much from them, and they're always the best stories, right? Like, and it's, and that's what drives you forward. So, I mean, like I said, I'm impressed with the evolution. I think you guys have managed to make this family dynamic work, which, hats off to you. I know that like I said, that's tough with one member of the family taking over, but to have, three, young, strong-willed, forward thinking, everybody's got their ideas, everybody's got their idea of the direction for the company, and to be able to make that work together and to see the progress that you guys have made, hats off to you. And I hope it continues for many years to come.
Hopefully, I would hope so too. Really, you have to change your look. You have to change your. If you look at any company, every company changes their look over time. Be it a different color in the logo, a different color of the trucks, a different. That's the most thing that people see. But you don't want to have them lose you. I was very afraid of changing the logo.
Yeah.
And that's why you always see two of our logos. You still see both of them.
Yeah.
Because HOC or Hawk doesn't really make sense yet, but it will.
Yeah.
It has to. Once it gets a foothold, we'll start pulling back on the old one. But that was a big thing for me to do. But it's like Ford came out with a Model T Ford. That's evolved, right? Now he's making some pretty nice cars. So if you just it works. It's got 4 wheels. If we didn't take all those steps further, and his teams didn't evolve that into what Ford is today, well, Ford wouldn't be around. It's a big picture for a small awning company, but we don't want to be small. We want to be big. We want to just keep growing. I want to retire, but that's another story. Next
Do you
podcast.
get any work outside of the Ottawa area, or
we go North Bay to Toronto, past Toronto. I think the furthest I don't know.
We've done workout in.
Man, we've done
Victoria
work
last
in
year.
Florida,
Oh, nice.
Saudi Arabia. We didn't go there. Our stuff gets shipped there. We ship stuff to Vancouver,
Really?
the East Coast. We don't let distance stop us. It adds a bit of a hiccup to our projects, but Liam will sell anything to anybody. Liam and I have warm discussions about Vancouver. Then you got to design this thing to go in a crate and be easily assembled. And then Pierce gets into it on his end to make it simple for the guy to put this thing on. And Declan's got to take everything and draw it up so that it's easy to be taken out of the box. And here's the assembly procedure. So that's another skill we just learned. We learned that about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So it's we go to town. And as far as personal staff, I say Ontario. You can't go to Quebec because of rules and regulations, but
Right.
Sorry,
Well,
when you say rules and regulations, John, you talk about the COVID stuff, like being able to go over.
no construction.
RBQ.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So we can work on houses, but we can't work on businesses.
Okay.
So when businesses hire us, because a firm hires us to do a job on their building, it's usually supply only,
Okay.
Okay.
and we can't install it.
Okay. But you can work on residential in Quebec.
Apparently, so it's kind of a gray thing, but that's what I was told. I'm sticking to it until I'm caught. So
Okay.
That's forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
always the best way.
I'm still on the stress is a privilege of owning a business.
Yeah.
You guys have any stress, you young lads?
You see my head?
Yeah. Hey, man.
I'm not even gonna have a chance to go gray. Yeah, like my dad said, the company never leaves your head, and nobody understands that if you're not at the helm of a business. If you're an employee, you'll sleep at night.
Yeah.
You'll go home and you'll sleep at night, but there's always something. You'll dream about your business, or you just won't sleep at all because of things going on. And it's not that you're worried about things per se, but it's just always there because I spend just as much time here as I do at home almost, so yeah, it's like my second family, right? So I'm always here. And what I do at work kind of dictates in a way how the rest of my life is going to go. So it's pretty important. And, when something is that important to you, I find it's maybe not the stress. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the stress, but I do enjoy being conscious of how important it is.
Yeah. And it's an excitement as well, right? Because you're waking up to your business. It's like, what are we doing today? Like, let's keep moving.
I know, you're not waking up in the morning like,
Yeah.
Another one of these days, When's the weekend?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times, like I'm counting down the days till Monday. If I know that there's something cool happening next week,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we're coming back Monday and, we're getting this job done this week. Wicked.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And I guess for the four of us, you see your jobs as more than just an awning on the wall. You appreciate how much work went into putting that awning on the wall.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I said, if you're really not at the helm of a company, you're never truly going to understand what we're talking about. But I personally.
Yeah. That excitement.
It is exciting.
Yeah. I see it as, it could be stressful, but there's also an excitement factor. And if that is greater than the stress or, for me, I enjoy going to work every day. Like, I love it. I can't wait to get up in the morning and I'm a morning person and I love it. So it's, I've always been like that. And the one thing actually that my dad does really well is he shuts off his phone come Friday at 5:00. Like, nobody can reach him. And your business could be different, but we don't talk business on the weekends. How do you guys deal with that? Like, are you guys always talking business? Do you have family get-togethers where it's like business, or is Pierce talking about the Senators?
It's a tough go. Business is definitely the front runner.
Okay.
And, everyone you talk to will be like, well, you need to have, this life and business balance, life work balance, but it's friggin' hard. And it's not like we're sitting down having a meeting around the dinner table. We're just talking about business. I personally don't see anything wrong with that because I enjoy what I'm talking about. I'm not like, hey, Liam, what were you thinking scheduling yesterday? We're just talking business. We're not yelling at each other. I enjoy what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I would never engage in a conversation with, I was actually having this conversation with my girlfriend yesterday. How certain people are known for talking about certain things. And I'm like, you know what? I would never just start rambling on to somebody, if I knew that they weren't interested or engaged in the conversation I'm having. So when I'm talking to my dad, Liam, or Pierce about work, I know that they're interested in the conversation and I know that they'll be engaged in the conversation. Therefore, it is a good conversation.
Okay, but the girlfriend doesn't, the wives don't always want to talk business, right? Like, is that?
She's I sold that thing. That's kind of where I draw the line. I get enough here and at family dinners.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's good.
I think we're pretty good at not taking work home too much.
Okay.
I think the only time we really talk about it at home is when we're having a big job being done right now, and we might not touch base during the day and ask each other, what do you think of that thing today? Ask that kind of question. Very, very slight. Dinner table? Well, we're all in business together.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like it's just me and Pierce. It's Pierce, Declan, Liam, my wife Joanne. She was part of this for a long time. Liam took her job and fired her. But that's what really happened. Liam took Joanne's job and Joanne's retired, but she likes to still hear what's going on. So I think we're pretty good at keeping business here and not too much in our personal lives as far as one way or the other.
One more question, and this is something that we learned with Bryden and Shade Sales Canada. He collaborates or still collaborates with a company in Australia. Do you guys collaborate with anybody, other companies in Canada, the US, just to do some learning or that you're close with?
I have a very good engineer that I've had for forever. I kind of take him as my mentor, more on the design issues. He's a good engineer in the sense that he knows how to engineer fabric products, not bridges. He could do a bridge, but he knows how to tone down the engineering to suit our level of products. I'd say that's the only collaboration I really do. I'd love if there was more collaboration, but I find it's a very closed door community.
Yeah.
And like when I say going to the IFI in the States, I'd love to go to a show where they physically show you the process or physically show you how that was done, how they make that. I'm very, very good at figuring things out myself. Thank God, because we'd be lost otherwise. But if you could have a collaboration of companies across Canada or the world that you could reach out to, I know Bryden reaches out to Australia. Well, that's far enough away, He's not going to steal anything, There's all this intellectual property that people think they have that's so valuable. Well, it's not really if you don't share it. Things don't go anywhere if you don't share stuff. Ottawa is a very close market for that. I don't know why it is that way. I'd love to talk to the other companies, but we just don't. We just don't. There seems to be barriers, and there's barriers across Canada. I've talked to other firms, and you see it at the IFI Canada shows, where you're talking fluff.
Yeah,
you're not talking any meat. It's all fluff.
Yeah,
and it's very big, and you don't do to talk about your jobs because they might take it off me. So you don't have to be that way. We really don't. But I'm not going to change the world in one podcast.
No, but you know what? I'd love to put that out as a bit of a challenge to our listeners, and any comments that we might get back either on the IFAI website or basically we're on the IFAI website would be the perfect place, or on our LinkedIn page where we'll have the links for this podcast. But we'd love to hear what the rest of the IFAI Canada membership have to say about that. I mean, my guess is there's a lot of people out there that feel that way, but I think you're right. I think even those of us who feel that way, there is some trepidation about sharing those secrets, about wondering if you're going to get the give and take, or is it going to be all give and they're going to take, you know what I mean? Like, so it's, but we absolutely go further as an industry, I think. And I've always had this philosophy that forget about worrying about your piece of the pie. If we get together and work together on this stuff, we're going to expand the pie. And it won't, you know what I mean? Like, and your piece will get bigger naturally by, you know what I mean, by giving us more credibility in the market in general.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So we'd love to hear feedback on that for any of our listeners.
Yeah. And if there are any listeners that want to be part or interviewed or part of the podcast, to also let us know. You can always reach out via our emails, LinkedIn page, or the IFAI Canada page as well. Thanks for doing this interview today, House of Canvas team. Yeah.
To our listeners, follow us on our social medias. It's house_of_canvas. And Facebook is a Facebook page, House of Canvas. Any small businesses like us, it's a huge step to go get into social media. Definitely a big recommendation to show your products and what you do, because that's what a lot of the younger generation use for their source of information.
Yeah.
That's where you'll see all the goodies.
Nice. Well, we'll go check it out. And Liam, way to prove your dad right there. You're busy on the sales, man. He's like, he'll sell it. Right away. He's just waiting for that last thing. Wait. One thing.
He's not working $3.99 anymore.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Thank you for joining us for the second episode of IFAI Talking Textiles. This podcast is brought to you by IFAI, a not-for-profit association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. Learn more about the different events and workshops IFAI hosts throughout the year at ifai.com/events.